Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm speaking in this one, as you can tell, and it's a little bit different from what I usually show on this channel, but the contents just came through, and that shows you the different time zones if you want to just jump to a specific part of the video. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy a little 10 minutes of me repairing and restoring this guitar. So I bought it new, and it's an Epiphone Les Paul Studio LT. And it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm very happy with it, and for the price it's an absolute steal. But it does need a bit of a setup, and this is what this video is about, is showing you how to set it up, so you'll end up with a beautifully playing guitar that also didn't cost a whole lot of money, and you get your very own budget Les Paul. So firstly I'll show you what it sounds like out the box. I just love the tone to start with, but there was a few niggles that needed to be sorted out before the guitar was going to be really playable. So I made these tools. They're made out of stainless steel, and we have a fret level checker which goes in between the frets on the fretboard and makes sure the actual neck of the guitar is straight, and we have a fret rocker which you use on 3 frets at a time on 3 different sections of the fret, the middle and the 2 sides, and you can tell if any high or low frets are present and address them. Fortunately on this guitar there wasn't really any fret rock, so I didn't bother messing with that, but I did check the levelness of the neck and it was perfect, and then I put a little bit of up bow in it just to give some clearance in the middle for the strings, which you should always do, otherwise you're going to get some fret buzz. So I also stamped a G and an F on the tools, and that just told me whether it was the Fender or the Gibson scale, which is going to save a lot of time as I have both necks. So first thing to do, take the strings off. The factory strings are always a bit crappy, so they're not really worth keeping. And then clean up the frets. So I used a bit of green Scotch-Brite and I went over each fret. A nice therapeutic one, very easy to do, and it gave them all a nice uniform finish. It made them beautifully smooth, and it took all the little burrs and sharp edges off that just haven't been finished in the factory. But they were a bit dull. So I then went over again with Brasso, and don't actually apply any Brasso because if it gets on the wood it could mess it up. Put it on a little bit of a rag, just a very light amount, work it over each fret and just take your time with it, don't rush otherwise you'll mess something up. But as you can see from this picture, the fretboard was incredibly dry, so I used some Dunlop fretboard oil, and I applied that to the surface, and as you can see in this picture it was very dry. It needed that a lot. So that's a top tip. If you're going to do anything for your guitar, at least put a bit of oil on the fretboard. Then it was time to polish the rest of it. So overall, I was very happy with the finish. I did have a little bit of lacquer chipping at the bottom of the neck, but apart from that, the finish was pretty spotless. One thing I will point out though is that when I took the cavities off to have a look at the electronics, there was a bit of sawdust in there, so make sure you check that yourself and vacuum it all out, because that could mess with the electronics if it gets into the pots. Also, there was a slight issue with my jack cable connector, and that was that it was rocking around and making this horrible cracky noise. Just take it out, bend the prong in a little bit more, just ever so slightly, you won't even think you've adjusted it, and then plug it back in and it should be really nice and tight and you're not going to have that issue. These are all just little niggles. When they've been put together in the factory, you're going to get things like that, especially with a budget guitar because they won't check over it as well. The back of the neck had some stickers on it which were really annoying, so I took them off and polished it up with furniture polish. I polished the whole guitar with furniture polish. You can also do the metal with that too. And basically just cleaned it all up and made it nice and shiny. And there was one of the little volume pots, the caps had fallen out, so I had to glue that back in. But at the end of the day, it was all there, it all works, and I am really happy with it. So I can't complain, and especially for the price. So after that, it was time to put the strings on. Now that tool in the bottom right is called a string winder, and it's a multi-tool. You can cut the strings, you can wind the strings, and you can also pull out bridge pins if you've got an acoustic guitar. and they are fantastic. They cost £9 over here. They are an absolute lifesaver. So I actually found that the guitar was pretty well set up from the factory in terms of intonation and the bridge, so I didn't touch that. I'm using Diageo light strings. They are fantastic. I'm not sponsored by any of this, it's just what I use on the guitar. And then she was ready. She looked beautiful, she had all the bits. The last thing to do was add the strap, which was a Spitfire strap from Levy, and I just love that. It's the finishing touch for me for this guitar. So now let me play a little song for you and show you what it sounds like.
Colors don't fade, leaves you empty with nothing but dreams. In a world gone shallow, in a world gone lean. Sometimes there's things a man cannot know. Gears won't turn and the leaves won't grow. No place to run and no gasoline. Engines won't turn and the train won't leave. Engines won't turn and the train won't leave. And I will stay with you tonight. Hold you close till the morning light. In the morning watch as a new day rise. We'll do whatever just to stay alive. We'll do whatever just to stay alive. Well, the way I feel is the way I write. It isn't like the thoughts of a man who lies. There is a truth and it's on our side. Dawn is coming, open your eyes. Look into the sun, there's a new day rise. And I will wait for you tonight. You're here forever and you're by my side. I've been waiting all my life to feel your heart as it's keeping time. We'll do whatever just to stay alive. Where the lights don't move and the colors don't fade. Leaves you empty with nothing but